Hello YouTube, I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you are interested in purchasing my book, I will go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. Too many people die on the inside and outside for simple lack of an encouraging word. So I want to say you can do this. You can absolutely do it. For those of you who've been watching my channel, I teach about money, saving, investing, and becoming a millionaire. So, I want to talk about a few different things. Now, we live in a capitalist society. Whether you love that or you hate that, it is what it is. So instead of trying to fight against the system, you have to take those capitalistic rules and laws and tax breaks and learn about how to use them to your advantage. So in a capitalist society, there are only two ways to really make your money, and that is through labor, where you have to go to a job every day, work a 9 to 5, and you are paid for your time. And then there's the other way of doing it, which is capitalism, and that's through capital. So that is through owning assets or money that make you money off of your money. So there are different ways. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Everybody has the same rights and freedoms to move anywhere they want to in the United States. There are no laws against someone moving from California to Ohio or Pennsylvania to New York. You have the freedom to do that. And you also have the amazing opportunity to learn different ways to make money. And the more money that you make from your capital, the less money you have to make from your labor. So the more you make from capital, the less you have to make from labor. And a lot of people don't know how to do this. We were all raised very differently, and all of our experiences create our thoughts and our mindset now. I have this new thought that first of all, I grew up really poor, below poor. My mother filled vending machines for a living. My father was a no-show and no child support type father. And although I recently sold my mother's home from a affluent community, the community was not like that when we moved there in 1985. When we moved there, it wasn't the Bay Area. There was no such thing as the Bay Area in 1985. There was no computers back then. I mean, nobody had a computer. It was only San Francisco, and San Francisco was pretty much just banking at that time. So Livermore, which is about 45 minutes to an hour from San Francisco without traffic, which doesn't exist anymore. You can't get there without traffic. It turned into the Bay Area. It totally gentrified. Super rich people started moving in. Executive homes became built. The downtown area completely changed. And then the value of the home went up. But at the same time, I still grew up extremely poor. When I went to college and we were doing our applications for financing, my mom made $6 too much in order for me to qualify for a completely free education. $6 in a year. Too much. Not per hour, not per day. In a year, she made $6 over the amount. Otherwise, my college education would have been free of charge, paid for by our wonderful federal government. But because I didn't qualify, I did have to pay for it. However, that is neither here nor there. So there are three different classes of people. There's the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. And growing up, I always thought, okay, upper class kids get whatever they want. And it's true. Upper class kids, their parents can afford anything. So if a kid says, I want this, the parents are like, okay, here, you can have this. And in middle class, the kids will say, I want this. And the parents will say, okay, well, we don't have money right now, but we will find a way to get it later. So it taught the middle class delayed gratification. If you grew up poor like I did, sorry, you're not going to get it ever. You're not going to get it ever. Like, Just take it out of your mind. So as an adult, it teaches us that everything we have is a luxury. Pretty much everything that we have. So I personally can live on a lot less than 99% of people in the United States of America, and I can still feel like I have plenty. But not everybody is like that. I don't even have delayed gratification. I just don't get it. I don't get that thing that I want because I don't really want it, because it trained my brain as a child not to want anything, because if you wanted anything, you would be disappointed. So there's no need in wanting anything. So I just stopped wanting stuff. And in a capitalist, the only thing that I wanted was to become, I've worked a million jobs that I hated. I was treated horribly, low-wage jobs. And it's not because I'm not intelligent. It's simply because I graduated college with a degree in computers 2 months after the dot-com burst. So when you are 20 years old, you're living on your own, you have to find a way to pay the bills. And because there was such a huge recession, I had to take any job that I could. So I ended up working at a call center for Washington Mutual, which is no longer in business. I worked my way up, and then layoffs. They were bought out by Chase Bank, and then we had to quit. However, when that happened, there was this amazing thing. They gave us retro pay. So if we stayed until the day that they closed, they paid us the same again at the end. So we got a notice about a year in advance. So I got a huge check for and of course it's taxed up to the hilt, but I got a check for $20,000. And I had already been investing in my Roth IRA. I don't remember. I think the limits were much lower. They're $2,000 or $3,000. But I took that full $20,000 and then I put it into a brokerage account. And I just left it there and I let it accumulate. And because I didn't need the money at the time and I was renting an apartment, because I had no desire to own anything, I never thought of home ownership. Now, moving on down the line, I do want to say that in my experience, there are two different types of people. There are people who say it can't be done, and then there are people who do it. They don't just say, yes, it can be done. They just do it. And they do it quietly. And they don't fight with the people who say you can't do it. They don't fight with them. They just keep their head down, their mouth shut, and they do it. And I am that type of person. So that's what happened when I got into debt. I had $14,000 in credit cards, $14,000 in car, and $14,000 in college. In today's dollars, it would be about $70,000, but that was back then. So the $42,000 is about $70,000 worth of debt right now. So people said you're never going to get out of debt, and I'm like, watch me. So got a second job the next day, got out of debt. Now, when it comes to people today, now let me talk a little bit about YouTube, just a little bit. On my YouTube channel, I know how I come off. I know I do, and it's on purpose. I come off as blunt, unempathetic, shut up and do it, and direct and right to the point. I can tell you this, that is a part of my personality, but it's not at all who I am. But when it comes to finances, I don't have any empathy for people who don't even try. So it's really hard for me to be empathetic towards those people. However, I mean, if somebody's parent or child or some loved one died, of course I would be empathetic. Of course I would send them flowers and, buy them food and, give them a shoulder to cry. Of course I would do that. I'm not a monster. But when it comes to finances, when people say, I can't do it. Why can't you do it? Well, because, and then just insert whatever reason right there. It's a million different things. Why can't you call Mint Mobile and get their phone for $15 a month instead of spending $85 a month for what you have? Oh, well, I like what I have. Well, how do you know that you don't like what Mint Mobile has? By the way, I am affiliated with Mint Mobile and I use them. I have used them for years and I love the service. I have never had a problem. I get better service with Mint than I ever did with AT&T or Cricket. But and the link's in the description box if you want to check out my affiliate link. But it's like people block. It's like there's a block in their brain saying that something happened in their childhood where they're saying it can't be done, so they don't even try. And I live on about anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. But if I had to, I could live on $400 a month or less. Actually, I did the total. It's $362.25 I could live off of per month. That includes everything. That includes what does that include? It includes garbage, gas and electric, property taxes, food, water, sewer, and internet. Everything else would go bye-bye. I would get rid of all insurance, home insurance, car insurance, registration, my cell phone. I would get rid of everything and live on absolutely nothing. If something horrible happened, which I have set up my life so that even if something horrible does happen, I'm still going to be okay, and I wouldn't have to go to these horrible tactics. But because I lived on nothing as a child, living like that now would not be an issue for me. And there's always those people who are heavily in debt, it's fine if you're in debt, but if you complain about it, it's your own fault. And there is the blunt person coming out, the unempathetic blunt person coming out right now. It's your own fault. You can't blame anybody else. And the reason you can't do it is simply because you're not willing to do it. You're not willing to you're not willing to live in your van for a year to get out of debt and build a life. You're not willing to get rid of the cell phone. You're not willing to learn about finances and not save your money. You don't want to save your money if you want to become rich. Middle class and poor people save their money. Rich people invest their money. They buy assets. Me personally, I don't have a lot of money. I have assets. I have assets worth over $1 million. I don't have $1 million in my savings account. Neither does Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. They don't have $100 million or $1 billion in their checking or savings account. That's not how it works. They have all of their money in assets. And so that is another big thing, is that there's no financial education in our country growing up going to school. So you have to teach yourself. But then there's people who won't teach themselves because they just learn that it is the way it is. No, it's not. You can do this. You can do it. You don't have to be exceptionally intelligent, and you are going to make mistakes along the way. So if you start investing and you make a mistake, you learn from that mistake and you continue moving. Now, a lot of people are so scared of investing, and I have a hard time understanding why, but I think it has to do with knowing the future. And nobody knows the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen in our economy or in your personal finances. Nobody knows. But people want a sure thing. Like, I cannot afford to lose a single penny because people are emotionally involved with their dollars because they worked so hard for it, or they worked so hard to save it, that they're not willing to take the chance of increasing it, because when you try to increase it through the stock market, it comes with risks. However, in the last 100 years, the stock market, the simple S&P 500, has an annualized rate of return of about 10%. It goes up, it goes down. That includes the 2001 recession, the 2008 recession, the 2020 recession. That includes all of the recessions that have happened in the last 100 years. But if you don't psychologically have the ability to leave the money there when it goes down. So if you have some sort of investment and you have $100,000 in it and it loses 90%, people will take out the $10,000 in fear of losing the last $10,000. So they just lost $90,000 by selling it at such a low rate. But people who are psychologically able to distance themselves and emotionally distance themselves from their finances will just leave the $10,000 there and use the logic, knowing that in the last 100 years, the stock market has never gone down. It has continued to rise over the years, and that $10,000 will go back to $100,000. So they leave it. But a lot of people don't have the emotional intelligence or patience to be able to invest in that way. So it's very scary. And these are all done through our childhood and adolescent experiences. So for me, that is why having nothing, I'm comfortable with having nothing. I'm comfortable with living on almost nothing. And I also wanted to explain to you that that is why I come off as so blunt and quick-witted and unempathetic on my YouTube channel. I will be honest, I have no empathy for people who are poor and stay there, because we live in a society where you don't have to stay there. You absolutely don't have to stay there. There are millions of ways to increase your income, to increase your capital, to live in this capitalist society. And you can simply do it by going to the library, your local library, which is free, and renting every single book that they have based on finances. And if you are somebody who wants to be rich, you can't become rich by saving your money. You're losing money every year when you do that, just based on inflation and the low rates. Even with our high interest rates right now and our high savings rates, you're still losing money every year by not investing it in assets. Now, I'm telling you, if you are poor, you can do this. You can call your insurance company and lower your rate. You can get liability only. If your house is paid off, you can take the chance and not pay for homeowner insurance, and you can invest that money instead. If you have a brand new car, you can sell that new car and get a used car for half the price, and hopefully you'll be able to walk away without losing any money. Buying a new car is one of the worst purchases that you can make. I speak from experience. You can go to college for free. You can get scholarships and grants. You can go to a community college for the first 2 years of your career, and you can save about 75% by doing it that way. You can call your cell phone company and get lower rates. 48% of Americans still have cable TV, which you can get rid of, and you can just get a simple Roku box, or use your smart TV and download free apps in order to watch your content. You can stop shopping for clothes because we only wear 20% of our clothing 80% of the time. You can earn extra money by collecting bottles and cans. You can save money by, when you go on your nature walks, foraging for food and saving it and freezing it for the wintertime. You can collect firewood and use the firewood to cook your food, which tastes better to me anyway. If it's meat, I prefer meat cooked with wood. You can learn different ways to style your hair or use makeup that are much cheaper than the ones that you purchase. If you are a man, you can find a cheaper cologne. You can get rid of that big truck that you've got, or the extra boat sitting in your garage that you use only twice a year to go fishing. You can sell those and you can invest that money, and you can become rich. Just stop buying the crap. We live in a capitalist society, but are also a consumer society. So this is what you have to do in order to get rich. And you have to change your mindset, and you have to be willing to learn. All right, folks, do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.